This is the Fulton City Council meeting for January 25th, 2022. Call the roll, please.
All right, Mr. Braun?
Present.
Mr. Combs?
Present.
Ms. Nelson?
Present.
Ms. Reclue? Present. Mr. Simmons?
Present.
Mr. Stone?
Present.
Mr. Washington?
Present.
And Mr. West? 8 council members present.
Very good, thank you. And Reverend Williamson, if you'd be so kind to lead us.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we'll keep first things first tonight and pause to remember our neighbors in Maryland. 3 firefighters lost their lives yesterday, and 1 still critical, and we've had 4 police officers perish since Friday evening. And I pray, Lord, for these families, the communities they served, and our nation grieves their loss. A moment of silence for these. Heavenly Father, I realize that this could be our community sustaining these losses. I want to be faithful, Lord, to pray for Chief Ladwig and Fulton Police and Chief Kofelt, Fulton Fire Department, and our first responders here locally and all across our nation. For our safety and protection, I'm going to go home tonight and sleep in peace, knowing that they're on our streets and meeting the vigil to keep our communities and our patrons safe. For this, I give you thanks. I'm grateful, Lord, for those who lead this city, our mayor and council persons, and all of those, Lord, who work on committees and serve on boards and give their time and talents to move us forward as your people. Equally, am I thankful for every employee who serves this city at every level throughout all capacities and positions. I'm grateful, Lord, for their diligence to duty, and they're moving us forward together as we prosper. I pray for this session tonight and for any discussions, followed by any decisions that are made, that first they be pleasing to you. For the city family, in addition to the Kofelt family and their bereavement, I pray for anyone else who just needs your touch and comfort and healing where physical affliction abounds. I ask you, Lord, to guide us all, that we'll be found faithful, living for you each day to your glory. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Face the flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Now move on to comments from visitors. If we have any visitors that would like to speak to the council, please come forward, state your name. We don't have anybody? Okay. Move on to the consent agenda. We have 5 city council meeting minutes to approve, and also the December Director of Administration report. Does anybody wish to call out one of these for additional comments or questions? Mike, yes?
Yes, sir. I would like to remove the Director of Administration report, please.
Remove the Director of Administration report, okay?
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, so I'll call the
Motion.
question on the
Motion to-
5. What?
Motion to approve the consent agenda A through E.
Motion has
Second.
been and seconded. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Alpha through Echo have been approved. So, Mike, you had a question on the Director of Administration report?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Where you at, Mike?
Okay, I'm on page 7,
Okay.
6 and 7, I guess.
Okay.
I'm looking at the Legends Recplex and the golf course, and I see revenues here, but I don't see expenses and statements made. You know, the golf course had an annual profit this year, including depreciation. And I thought we used to get a breakdown of expenses as well, and I'm not seeing that. And, you know, really like to see the expenses on the recplex, including things like utilities, because I've heard rumors of how much the utilities are out there. I'm kind of flabbergasted. I'd like to hear what the real number is.
Yeah, I usually don't include the expenses because a lot of times it's a timing issue. If I put the expenses down, it will probably change by the time Kathy finalizes everything. I think you can find the expense for the Legends Recplex in Kathy's financial report. Am I correct in that? Yeah. The expenses are listed in there. It's not broken down, but the total is for the first 7 months of operation.
Okay. So what do we know a monthly expense on the utilities for the recplex? Okay. Well,
That one.
yeah. Well, that's substantial, but it's not as high as the rumor was going higher than that. So good to hear. Okay, that's all I had.
If we're gonna, that question is about, why did we start adding utilities in to different facilities? Instead of, in the past, we haven't billed in the city to each individual one, and it hasn't been in the budget. So what changed with that?
What changed was, yes, utilities have been charged to the warehouse and
Okay.
decision was made to charge the general fund. So every fund within the general, every department will be charged.
And they see that, do they get a copy of a bill then each month so they know what's happening within their facilities? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and if I may, kind of the reason I'm asking that question is if it's just a slush fund and nobody's looking at it, there's no incentive to try to conserve and, you know, see what we can do to cut those expenses. So that's why I'm really encouraging that, and that goes for all the city facilities. And I know we do a lot with lighting and that stuff, but heating and cooling, I'm sure, are probably our biggest expense on the utility side. So, and we have some big buildings, so. Thank you.
Wes, I've been in that facility, and it looks like they are trying to conserve, because there are sections that are cooler and warmer over here, so it's controlled by a computer, and it seems to be, the effort is there, it looks like.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and use of it, we may say, can we have the heat, if we rented it out, can we have the heat turned up? And they always just go ahead and tolerate it out, so.
Right.
I could see, I realize that they look like they're trying to conserve, it looks like it. so.
Good. And,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
and you know, don't want to walk into the room and have it be cold or hot, you know, either way, so depending on the time of year, so. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman, that's one reason that they're going to see the bills, was the thought was, how can you conserve it?
Yes, sir.
You don't know what the bill is. So,
Exactly.
Good point.
I have another question. Dennis, what was the $11 million new commercial? Okay, their work out there. Okay, thank you.
So any other comments or questions on the Director of Administration report?
Not from me.
I was going to ask Chief Ladwig to come up and let you guys know about a pretty major haul that they made from the Highway Patrol this week, just so that way you guys are kind of in the loop about it. So this is a pretty significant amount of equipment they were able to get that we don't have to pay for out of our budget.
Oh,
So he's going to give you an update about that.
Good evening. I received an email from the Highway Patrol that they had a lot of surplus property available. And usually the Highway Patrol's surplus property is still in very good operating condition. So we were able to obtain many different things. I would say if we had to pay for those things ourselves, it'd be between $5,000 and $7,000. And it cost us absolutely nothing. And those are things that we can use. May not use them every day, but they're good pieces of equipment that we can very well utilize. So,
Great.
okay.
Is there like an official thank you we can give them, or?
Oh,
have
we
you already
thanked
done
him,
that, or-
we thanked him profusely while we were there.
Okay.
That email went to pretty much every police agency in the state of Missouri, and as soon as I got it, I thought, we're close, and we were the first ones that were able to get there, and
Very good.
we got our picks.
Thank you.
The race.
Very good. Thank you.
I move for approval or acceptance of the Director of Administration report.
We have a motion and a second for the approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. And we'll move on to the December financial report.
We have 11 months of sales tax recorded so far, so that leaves us one more month to go for 2021. And we are currently 9.6% ahead of where we were last year. Keep in mind, with the inflation rate, it's not quite as impressive as one would immediately think. I'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that on the December financials, it was a 3 payroll month, so we have an additional payroll cycle, which is 2 weeks. And the first payroll in January actually covered a week of time worked in December and a week worked in January. So we had to accrue that back to 2021. So the expenses include an additional 3 weeks of payroll, 1 payroll cycle and half of another. Probably one of the biggest things to hit the books, property tax was recorded in December. Real estate and personal property, $750,000, $38,000 in city stickers. The tax revenue in the TIF went up significantly. It was about $190,000 last year. It's at $240,000 this year, in large part due to the residential construction, the new houses out there. And I can answer any questions you have.
Kathy, I know I asked the last time, but percentage-wise versus dollars, what does the 9.6 equate to?
It's about
dollar-wise?
$378,000 more.
378, thank you.
And that is for the entire 2.5%. And our use tax currently, with 11 months, is at $492,000. In case you were going to ask that next.
So then on, kind of going back to the question that Mike had earlier, he said that Clay said that it was in the, in your report. The only thing, I see the operating statement. Is that the only place it's at for the rec center under the general fund? I see a spot for the golf course, but I don't see anything other than in the general operating statement.
Well, the
for
rec
the
center, that is Department 01585, which is the recreation center. Revenues were 24.5, expenses were $148,000.
But that's the only place, it's not
Yes.
over in the other, okay. Because
Yeah,
the other ones are
because it is
enterprises.
part, well, because the golf course is an enterprise fund, so it's separate. All the departments in the general fund are
Correct.
listed on page 1.
Thank you.
This one's good.
Yes.
I asked you this before, but I think it's something everybody needs to hear. I noticed that, we were kind of over budget in our general fund, or short, however you want to say it. And I noticed, police and fire seem to be, the big tickets. And you explained that to me.
Yes,
So could you
and
share that with
the
everyone
answer
else?
is that, but those two departments had big outbreaks of COVID. Lots of police officers out at one time, lots of firemen out at one time. So the remaining healthy individuals had to step up to the plate. There was a lot of overtime, lots of overtime that we hadn't planned for.
Thank you for that.
So,
Move for acceptance. Move for acceptance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the financial report.
Did you all have some question? I said, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
No, I said, I was just making comments that there's nothing we can do about that.
No, not at all.
Oh, the cup, no.
Okay.
That's for sure.
We have a motion and a second to approve the financial report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Any-
Kathy.
All those opposed? Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you
Thank
very
you, ma'am.
much.
So we'll move on to unfinished business. We'll start with the smart grid.
Kathy's coming back up.
Yeah. You roller skate.
Well, I think we've made some progress this last month. We actually were able to electronically pull 4 routes. Those 4 routes had a total of close to 2,000 meters. The reads came across, didn't have a lot of misreads or no reads or whatever. Currently, the utility IT individual, David Miller, is working on the other 2 routes that we have fully deployed. And by that, I mean gas, water, and electric are all smart meters. So the hope is that next week I'll be able to, or next month, I'll be able to add those 2 and pull 6, if all goes as planned.
Was it 2 before, Kathy?
Yes. Yeah, we did 2 for months, so we've managed to add 2 this month. And that's where we're at. If anybody has any questions, or if I can elaborate on anything?
Certainly sounds like a move in the right direction.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And Clay, you get to get up again for the Recplex.
Try giving this exercise.
All right, thank you. We had a very busy November, December. We love it. We love it when people are in there, but it comes with some challenges too. So, a lot of growing pains in the first 7 months. We're getting a lot of those worked out. Still some things we're working on, but I think we're getting better at how we operate the facility and how we handle things. So I'm pleased with that. Through the first 7 months, we did 17,000 visitors coming through the door. I think that's pretty good. It shows that there's interest, that people want to do stuff there. Our programs, we're offering more programs. This month we have men's basketball. We're going to be offering youth and adult volleyball. We have a father-daughter dance coming up in February, kind of around Valentine's Day. So a lot of new things that we're trying out, and we seem to be getting a good response from most of those. Our facility rentals are up. Our daily visits are up. I think at the end of December, we had 302 memberships, and that number is rising every day in January. So a lot of people coming in with their New Year's resolutions, signing up for memberships, starting to use the facility. So a lot of good things going on. One other thing I wanted to mention that this is kind of new to the Legends and Parks and Rec is that now people are going to be able to do their program registrations online. So we'll be able to accept payments, they'll be able to register for a program, and they can do that from their home. So we got some new software, and we're able to do that now. So
Is that through a website, Facebook?
you can access it through our website.
Okay.
The software is called Rec Desk, and they kind of have a, I don't know if it's a portal or a website that you can link to off of our website. So you can find it on the Parks and Rec website.
Okay.
Are you going to be able to make facility reservations through that same portal at some time?
Well, that's kind of down the road. Right now, we're easing into it with the program registrations. Some of the challenges we have with the facility reservation is the approval process, making sure there's availability, things like that. So there's a calendar associated with it, but we got to work out the approval part of it. We don't just want somebody to pay for a rental and think they automatically have it.
Sure.
So we're still working through that, but that's hopefully down the road.
Okay, good. I mean, anything you can make convenient.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Definitely.
definitely helps. Yeah.
So Clay, with the new software, if I wanted a membership, could I go in and sign up and then it automatically bill my debit or credit card monthly, the way the new software is set up?
Well, for program registrations, you can, or for membership registrations, you can sign up, but you still have to come in and bring us your credit card information, because the credit card information isn't stored. We have to put it in the system individually. So once we have your payment, then it'll generate the payment every month. You know what I'm saying? But you can't do it online. You can't make the payment online for memberships just yet. So that's something we're
But it
working
does
through.
store my credit card, so it automatically
It
will
does,
bill my
but we
credit
don't.
card.
The city of Fulton doesn't store it. It's
Correct,
stored. Yeah,
correct.
Yes.
It's no different than my Hulu account or whatever else that's
Yes.
billed automatically.
It's kind of a subscription-based type thing. Yeah. But you still have to, we still have to get the credit card in person, because we have to have a signature. And then, we also need to hand out the membership cards.
For the first time.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of face-to-face that needs to happen with it.
Because they have to have an access key to get in 24 hours?
They do. They do, yes.
Oh, that's pretty different.
Yeah, yeah. We give them a card, and then, you also have to have a card to get into like the fitness center and the cardio room.
There was something else I thought was pretty cool. I was out there a couple Fridays ago in the afternoon, and when school let out, there was a lot of middle schoolers came down there, and, you know, some parents dropped them off, some of them walked. I'd say there was between 30 and 40 that was using the community center as
Good, yeah.
a place to go.
And how do you feel like that's going, play with?
It's going wonderful. Now, it comes with its challenges too, you know. I mean, not every kid that walks in there is going to be the best kid, yeah. So we're trying to do a little more supervision, a little more walkthrough, make sure the kids are doing what they're supposed to. We're finding out that we got this big giant facility and we got cameras everywhere, but the kids can find little places to hide.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
yes, they are.
So
So
they could study, right?
yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But we're happy to have them. Like I said, if they're in there causing us trouble, they're not causing somebody else trouble. So
One way or the
it's,
other, but
it's a
That's
good
an
thing.
interesting way to look at it.
do we have security there? Like at night? Is there security at all?
No, we don't. Just the staff that works there
Okay.
And the cameras.
and the
And the
cameras.
cameras.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something in the future that we need to look at, is having floor supervision, making sure if someone's located in a gym, someone's located in different parts of the facility. Just, I know it's gonna cost a little bit more,
Yeah.
but if, for liability, for making sure, kids know that we got a floor, to somebody there, on the gym floor in that area, just to supervise. I know-
I think that's definitely something we're looking at. Well, right now, we're just trying to figure out what the trends are, you know, what time is the busiest, you know, is it 3 to 4, is it 6 to 7? So we're starting to get a handle on when there's a lot of people there, and we're kind of adjusting our staff for that. But right now, our focus is just getting the staff out, getting them moving around the building, make sure they're seen, make sure they're looking for problems.
Okay.
Have you had much interest in the golf?
We've had, Jamie's given a couple lessons. Some folks bought some lessons for Christmas presents, and they haven't scheduled their times yet, but a little bit of interest. Yes.
Oh, good.
And the daddy-daughter dance, I know my little girl said.
Oh,
Good.
that's, yeah,
Good,
yeah.
good.
Can it be granddaughters?
Yeah, yeah,
There
granddaughters,
you go.
yeah.
You got, yeah, there.
Yeah, my daughter's 17, she won't go with me.
Nah, they're past that.
Don't understand it.
Anything else?
Well, partly personal, I'm the one that's got some gift certificates for golfing time. Is he going to continue that through February and March?
I'll let him know that you'll call and
Please.
schedule those tomorrow.
There you go. Good, good.
They may move from indoors to, oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yeah, for sure.
They may move from indoors to outdoors here at some point.
I'll need all of it, so.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much.
Thanks.
So, moving on to new business. Mr. Garrett, president of the Callaway Cruisers Car Club, wants to request some street closures.
So Mr. Garrett is apparently not here tonight.
Nope, doesn't look like it.
But he did request two separate dates, as they do every single year. The first date is in June 4th, from 3 to 8 p.m., and that one is on Ravine Street, right by the Fulton substation. The second date is August 6th, again from 3 to 8 p.m., and that one would be on Fifth Street between Court and Nichols. So Chief Ladwig has reviewed this. We don't have any concerns at this time. This is the same footprint they always utilize. Really, the only issue we've had with this in the past is a couple of years ago, we had some cars that were entering the cemetery and people sitting up there. And that has been handled. They've been really great to work with, and I don't anticipate that'll be an issue moving forward. So we don't have any concerns at this point. We might have some discussions in the future and see if they're willing to look at maybe a lot or something where they have a little bit more room to spread out and it doesn't impose on traffic. But for this year, we don't have any concerns.
Motion to approve the car club request.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the request. Any further discussions?
Yes,
Yes.
I don't like disrupting traffic for these sort of things. I mean, I really feel that they need to pursue getting to a park or a parking lot or something of that nature. I mean, they're not very long, either one, and I understand that they're being hosted by the two different businesses, but can't they, get something close there? And, what does hosted by the Fulton substation mean? Are they contributing funds or something? Are those funds being used for charitable purposes or anything? Do we know anything of that nature? Or?
That I
Mr.
cannot-
West, if I may,
Go right ahead.
it's in my neighborhood, and I've gone down and attended it, because one, I was concerned about the use of the cemetery. Some folks were sitting there on the edge of the cemetery. We had some cars going in and out of the driveway. But that was a couple of years ago before they were able to reroute a lot of that traffic. And the hosted by the substation is mainly, they're recognizing the potential loss of revenue, because not everybody from the community that wants to come get a sub at their location can get to them easily because of the car show.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they're acknowledging is that they're willing to lose the revenue from the public at that moment to support this type of activity in our community. Because I went in and talked to them a couple of years ago, and that's what they're saying. They're saying that they're supporting this in the best way that they can by acknowledging possible loss of revenue.
Okay. Let's highly encourage them to move to a better location in the future. And I'm going to vote against it, so.
And now that we have a wonderful big parking lot at the Recplex
That's what first
Yeah.
thing.
that is in the center of town, we might be able to encourage them to come down there and
Yeah.
Well, and I actually have a question about the August 6th between Court and Nichols.
Yeah.
That's in front of ice cream, in front of, what time does Remake close on Saturday?
Mhm.
If it's not going to affect the businesses, I don't think it's a big deal, but if it is affecting the businesses,
Right.
since it's for the post office bar and grill, is
Yeah.
it possible to move it down into their parking lot?
Right.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just concerned, I know personally for a street fair, it's really hard for us to close down those streets. The downtown merchants have a really hard time with it,
Sure.
especially when it's affecting business, and it's a Saturday.
That's
So
right.
that's when business is the highest. And I'm in support of the event. I think it's a great,
Oh, sure, it brings
opportunity to give
yeah.
back to our community, but especially when it's for the post office and they have that whole parking lot there right next to it.
They don't really have a parking lot next to them.
no.
No.
That,
That's
The
part
Bank
of the
Star
old
one.
Bank Star one. They
Yeah.
do not
The
have.
post office
any
owns
parking.
one line of parking there right up against their property. The rest of that lot is owned by Bank Star One. That's why you see the concrete barriers there, is because they have
Oh, okay.
a new realtor working with that property trying to,
He actually owns
trying
the
to
He
distinguish.
actually owns the building.
Does he?
oh, does, wonderful. The other experience that I've had at this same thing is that they've spoken with those businesses.
Okay.
That, the one experience that I have with both of these dates and both of these locations that I've asked each time also, they've spoken with the locations, and that's why they've only asked They're not asking for those intersections to be blocked, it's just the actual street. So they still have nickels to park on if somebody does want to go to Lulu's, Remade for a Purpose, the barber shop. Any of those locations, they still have nickels to park on.
As long as the businesses are okay with it, I think that
That's-
changes things.
Well, one of those
That's
businesses
been my
closed.
experience in
I'm
the
sorry.
past. I think our message to the car club can be, make sure you have complete agreement by the businesses that you're impacting.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
And
it
don't
sounds
give-
like there's a lot of questions going on about the August 6th event, and nobody's here to answer them.
Right.
Well,
Would it be better
To
to
wait on it?
postpone this
Right.
into next week until
I will tell
Mr.
you,
Garrett to
this
get
is,
here?
this individual, Mr. Garrett's a little hard to get a hold of.
Okay.
And to get here, and if I'm being honest, I'm pretty sure they've already advertised this. So of course, you guys can do whatever you like, but I agree with Mr. Stone. I believe they have full communication with the businesses. Again, this is their annual request. This happens every single year.
Yep.
And I do agree, Mr. West, we need to look at other avenues in order to
Exactly.
not impose on traffic. But I can certainly reach out to Mr. Garrett. I tried to reach out to him multiple times and was not able to get him. So I'm not sure that moving it is going to really change anything, if we're being honest.
What if you just approved the first one and held off on the fall one?
Well, actually, so, Mr. Mayor, go ahead, if I might. I'm a fan of, car shows, that sort of thing. I don't like disrupting traffic. It's bad enough when we close them down to work, close streets down to work on them, that sort of thing. But, if you look at like down here, the downtown area, a lot of the businesses close noon, 1 o'clock on Saturdays anyway, so it's not gonna impinge on a lot of them. So, I think I can support it this year, but I really think they need to find other locations.
And again, like you said, the main thoroughfares are still available. It's that one block,
Yeah.
essentially for both of these areas. And so there's still the ability for traffic to go through, which was something that we discussed with FPD.
The one thing that I would like to just keep in mind is if we start saying no to this one, then do we say no to the farmer's market that sets up? Then we're picking and choosing which ones we want to say yes and no to.
I agree.
The only
And so-
difference I see with this one is nobody's here to answer the questions that I'm
Right.
hearing people
To
raise.
represent it.
Can you tell me the last time anybody was here for the farmer's market to ask for a road closure?
Oh, let me see. Seems like it was
That's
spring.
kind of like automatic.
It's been a long,
Oh, it's automatic.
it's been a long time.
No, not that long.
So picking and choosing who you want to say yes and no to can be very difficult.
Oh, we don't want
I
to do that.
agree. I don't like to close the streets, period, so.
So.
Again, at this time, we feel that this is something we can certainly accommodate with little to no concern, and we can certainly explore different avenues moving forward.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
I think
We have a
And we
motion.
actually
Yeah,
have a
we already
motion
had
and a
that.
second,
Oh,
so we're
okay.
good.
Yeah, we did.
Thank you.
Call the question.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, we're still.
Hearing none. All those in favor of the car club for the 2 dates signify by saying aye.
Yes.
All right.
All those opposed? It has been approved.
With reservations.
So, council concerns. We'll start at your end. You first, yes.
I actually had the opportunity to meet Courtney at Serve this week, and I think that she's doing a fantastic job, that they are in need. I noticed when she was showing me around, those shelves were there, and so, if anybody's looking for a fundraiser, I highly encourage Serve to be the one that you choose, because I think it does a lot for our community,
Yes, it
and
does.
we need it, and if they're struggling, they need donations.
Okay.
Are you talking food or everything?
I think really a lot of everything.
Yeah.
She said that the shelves that were there were what community usually donates, and it was just so sparse. And she is doing a fantastic job out there, and I just think that as a community, again, if you're looking for a fundraiser for a school or,
Help.
an organization, that Serve would be a great one to donate to right now.
Okay. Very
As a
good.
plug, they can always use diapers of any size whatsoever. They're always in need of diapers.
And also, if you, they will take food donations, but they also like monetary, because then they can go out and buy in bulk and actually
Things
get
that-
more than what we could spend at the store, is what I've heard from her before, too.
I think they would take
Yeah.
everything they could get.
Yes, they
Absolutely.
would. Thank you
Absolutely.
for bringing that up, thank you.
Mr. Washington?
Yes, I believe that we ought to look in, because of the cold weather, in the future, we probably want to look for a warming center. I don't believe we have one here in Callaway County or in Fulton, that we can help support people that are on the streets, need a place to warm up, and, they especially doing it over the overnighters. So there's something that we need to probably look at.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I've got nothing tonight.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
I can't even tell you when it was. Was it 19? We had started working through rates for many different areas within the city on many different avenues. And COVID and many things happened, and we stopped that process. And I certainly think it's something that we need to get back to looking at.
Are you talking like the fee structure for
Fees
different things?
and
Okay.
rates for pavilions. Every department had gone through and did some rate work, but we never got any further with it. We were working through a couple of departments at a time.
You're right, we didn't finish that.
No, we didn't. You're right.
So
Jeff,
I
anything?
certainly think it's something we need to continue to get back to.
I concur. Thank you.
Only concern is that cold and winter weather, plays havoc on our streets. And so just if we can watch for potholes and watch for places that we can do some patches, even in the cold weather. Between our asphalt and our concrete and all of our different things, we end up with lots of different dips and holes during the wintertime. That's it.
Okay. Mary?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Nothing? Mike?
I have nothing tonight.
Okay. Anything else? Did we miss anything? Nothing?
Oh, I
Okay.
do have an alibi. I want to repeat something that I mentioned
had
at
your
the
chance.
last one.
No.
Yep, you're
Yes,
passed.
you got it.
Since Robert's here tonight, I'm going to mention that out loud for Robert. I believe next holiday season, we need to plan for some large cardboard roll-offs for recycling for the community to be able to use. From Thanksgiving through, after Christmas being allowed. There is a whole lot of cardboard now that we don't have those community drop-off roll-offs that have gone in the landfill the last couple of years. And I recognize previously that was all funded through the commercial recycling program here in town, so it would be an expense on the city, but I think it's well worth it.
With that same thing in mind, maybe we take a look at during those months, not doing yard waste, or during some of those time periods,
Exactly.
don't do yard waste. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not picking up yard waste anyway, for the most part. So go to all recycling.
Makes sense.
Especially the holiday weeks.
So Bob,
Yeah.
you have the monkey on your back for that. Okay.
I already
All
have
right.
2 bins, I can go to 4 from
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
You got it. Looks like a drop off.
All right.
When do you have time to,
We're going to move on to resolutions now, folks.
please?
Oh.
Okay. Mr. Stone, would you present resolution number 3431, please?
Yes, Deputy Mayor. Resolution 3431, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to make application and sign all necessary documents in relation to the local violent crime prevention grant issued through the Missouri Department of Public Safety and establishing an effective date. I move to accept resolution 3431 at tonight's meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussions or comments? You're not saying anything.
Just a reiteration of what I've already told you. So this is going to be for laptops, docking stations, and whatnot for police patrol vehicles. There's not a city match for this grant, and they can apply for up to $25,000. However, in looking at what they needed, that's why you have an exact dollar amount in this resolution.
Any other comments or questions? Now would they have a motion and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution 3431 is approved. Mr. Braun, would you please present resolution number 3432?
Resolution 3432, a resolution authorizing the destruction of city records that have met retention requirements in accordance with RSMO Chapter 109 and applicable state retention schedules. I make a motion to approve Resolution 3432 at tonight's meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
So again, these are records that every single year we have to get authorization in order to destroy them. They're non-violent crimes, typically your traffic violations. So this is just standard procedure in order to be able to get rid of those that have met their retention schedules.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution 3432 is approved. Mr. Combs, if you would present resolution number 3433, please.
Yes, sir. Resolution number 3433, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relation to the first addendum to the pole attachment license agreement with Calabi Technology LLC and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to adapt resolution number 3433 at tonight's meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Questions, comments?
This is
Yeah.
we had the pole attachment agreement in 2018, and it talked about conduit, but we did not have the price in that resolution with Calabi. So this is to go at a price for conduit. It's probably not something to be used very often, but right now the conduit in question is from the new county building across Business 54 over toward the cabinet shop. And the city does have conduit in there with one small fiber in there, so there is room for it. So it's probably be used mostly for like road crossings and things like that that are expensive to get across.
Oh, okay, so that's what, okay, that explains.
And the utility board looked at this yesterday and did say it was approved.
Yes, they did make a motion
Yeah.
to recommend that this be approved at tonight's meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of resolution 3433, say aye.
Aye. Yeah.
All those opposed? Resolution 3433 has been approved. Mr. Washington, if you would present resolution 3434, please.
Resolution number 3434, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relationship to the contract with Fletcher Reinhardt Company of Bridgetown, Missouri, for services pertaining to the substation transformer testing and other associated services. I make a motion that we accept resolution 3434 at tonight's meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
This is some testing to be done on our substation transformers.
Yeah.
We do currently oil test every year. It's been several years since they've been electronically tested and evaluated. So this is to take care of those transformers, except for the one that we just had a problem with like a year and a half ago. It was done at that time.
It was at that time? you
It was
said?
done at that
It was.
time.
Okay, so it won't do that one, okay.
Right. Fletcher Reinhardt's a group that we've used for a lot of stuff. We've got a good relationship with Fletcher Reinhardt, and Eaton is who they've partnered with to do the testing. So,
While this testing is occurring, will there be any outages to any of the residents or the
No.
business or anything?
no, we'll
Okay.
switch out the stations for the
Okay, so you
testing.
have multiple circuits, okay.
Anything they find that's worn, which we don't know what that is, it could be
Yeah.
tap changer contacts such as that, that will be an added cost after those are identified, what does need to be replaced.
I
Okay.
see.
will they do that replacement, or what, or city crews, or a combination?
It depends on what it is. Could be a combination, it could be something they come back, especially on a tap changer, where they have to retime the tap changer after they make those corrections.
Then if something we can do, then we would.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Darren.
Any other questions or comments? No? Then all those in favor of Resolution 3434 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution 3434 has been approved. Ms. Nelson, if you would present Resolution 3435, please.
Yes, sir. Resolution number 3435, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to sign all necessary documents in relation to a contract with B&N Inspection of St. Louis, Missouri for water tower and tank inspection, testing, cleaning, and other associated services. I make a motion, we pass resolution number 3435 at tonight's council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments or questions?
Charles,
I
come up.
thought we had already gotten some of
There
this
we go.
information. Is this additional information?
So B&N came in and assessed the tanks, and they did a shoot. I mean, it was a extensive, they were here, a full day
Yeah, about a full
with
day.
our water department and taking a look at what they could see on our water tanks. And after that assessment, they gave us a spreadsheet with a bunch of bullet points. And from those bullet points, we could look to see, okay, this is what we have to replace, this is what's nice to replace or repair. And so from that, we had dialogue with them to make sure that we were fulfilling what we needed to do with, for ourselves and the Department of Natural Resources to make sure that those tanks are put back in service after things are all done, how DNR expects. But if there's some things that maybe that are nice that we can not do, like one, for an example, there's a ladder width that the Department of Natural Resources said, well, your ladder needs to be this wide. Well, since those tanks were put in, back when, that ladder width is fine. It's nice if we make it meet OSHA standards, but we don't have to, So there's things like that we can choose or not choose. So yes, they have been in. We had them come in to take a look at those tanks. We first got a hold of Burns & McDonald actually to see, if who was the best person to come in and assess these tanks. And Burns & McDonald said, B&N's, that's what they do. They do weld and coating inspections. That's what they make their business off of. They don't put tanks up themselves. They're an independent third party that will take a good look at it for you. So they came in, assessed it, gave us the report, and from that report, we've kind of agreed these are the things that need to be done. So the ground storage tank down by the Ford dealership is going to be fully blasted and overcoated, and the water tank, the water tower will be overcoated. And then with that, there'll be some piping repairs that are done, some foundation kind of repairs. There's some undermining of the gravel that's kind of in conjunction with the ground storage tank.
Did we not talk about this and have budgeted amounts of upwards of $1 million?
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Yes, so we did talk about this in the past, and they were budgeted so
They
that we
were
could do a
budgeted.
couple each year.
Right.
So the B&N is
There is-
only, they're not fixing anything, they're only
They're
a
s- right,
consultant.
They just were.
They're assessing, and then after they are assessing, so what you're approving tonight is for them to put the plans and specifications together, as well as, once those are put together and we bid those out, once a tank overcoating company, tank repair company comes in, they will inspect and watchdog that company to make sure that their welding is up to snuff, the coating thickness is up to snuff. for the tower and the ground storage tank. So,
And like John
that's-
said, we've already approved the repairs.
right,
This is
you
all
guys
part
have,
of
you
that.
guys have
Yeah.
It's all part of
approved
that.
kind of the philosophy of going about, say, from this side, let's look at the Ford tanks. Then next year, let's look at up at the industrial park
Yeah.
and so on. So there is $700,000 in this year's budget for this work.
We don't think
Thank
it'll
you.
be, we don't think it'll be enough. And I'll tell you why. The fill tank, or the fill pipe, there's two pipes that go up that tank, they're about 12 inches. One of them's got a hole in it. So the elevator tank's out of service. We did have a company come in, do an investigation, because it's like 70 feet up in the air to the hole with insulation around it. We was hoping it was a seam.
Right,
It's not a seam.
the whole,
There's a hole about the size of a golf ball in the pipe.
Radiator stop leak.
So then, was it last week, Kyle? We took a push camera with McGuire iron up there, and put the push camera in there and recorded it, and we're still evaluating that, but it appears, you gotta remember this tank was built in 61 or 2, that fill pipe and exhaust pipe has deteriorated. So those will probably have to be replaced in with this project. And our budget number we're getting thrown at us right now is $150,000, $200,000 to do that.
Is it something that could be sleeved?
We're looking into that, and that's one reason we'd like BNN to be involved in this with us,
yeah.
is for questions like that. And now that we've uncovered this problem, when they start actually working on the tank, what other problems are gonna be found?
Yeah,
Without a
That's
doubt.
kind of
Yeah.
where we're at.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're gonna find other stuff.
especially
yeah.
on a 60-year-old
Okay,
tank.
but this
Yeah, you
is
figured
all
the
part
age.
of the original amount that we.
Correct.
That we
Right.
talked about last year.
What's in
Correct.
that?
It's,
Yes,
yeah.
it's part of it.
Thank you.
When even lining a tank right now, or lining a pipe right now is gonna be high because resin costs are up,
Residence high.
Everything, yeah.
so.
So, I mean, that's where we're at. It's, those tanks are key to the city. They're in a good location. We need them repaired so we can get another 40 years out of them.
Says it all.
Kyle, this is the first time we
Going
used
down to our
BNN in the, have we used them in the past?
to my knowledge, this is the first time we've used them.
In the past, who did we go with in the past, do you know?
In the past,
Is that on- is that in
there was
record?
in 2005, about when I first came here, we built two towers, and back then we had a guy, and I'm blanking out on his name. It's been long enough, I'm
Yeah, is it-
blanking out
Yeah,
on his name, but,
I'm just-
to
the
answer your
reason-
question, we've never used them before, and to my knowledge, even the guy that we did use was kind of a one-man band, and this is
I'm just
a
wondering if they-
reputable firm that
Okay,
does this.
yeah, that's all, I was just wondering if there was other companies that we don't be locked in because someone said, hey, yes, use them. It's great to get information from some other people, but that might have been their buddy.
And and Daryl mentioned McGuire Iron, they actually do this type of work, and they actually came here before BNN and did a little bit of an assessment on it, and we felt like more was necessary, and BNN gave us a more thorough inspection.
Thank you.
And I'll add, Kyle didn't do it. When we called Burns and Mac, the Burns and Mac guy said, this is who we would call, and you folks don't need us. You have a qualified engineering department to work with these people.
Okay.
Good to hear.
So,
They're
That's
representing.
good, that's good to them.
Thanks,
to them.
Gerald, yeah. That makes you- yeah.
I was several years ago, we raised this tank.
yes.
Yeah.
This section that's got the hole in it, is that the new pipe or the old
Yeah,
pipe?
where's it?
It's hard to tell from what we've seen so far.
It's difficult to tell.
That was nice.
Mike Teal's here, he's actually over this project for us.
Oh, okay.
He's the engineer over this project for us. Mike, were you able to tell anything?
And he had,
I mean, I think what we added was up high, but I don't remember for certain, you know.
It's hard to distinguish
Yeah.
the old pipe from the new pipe.
Early, okay.
So they're not sure where.
It's not really that important, I just, well, I guess from a, how long did it last question is where I was going with that, but, yeah,
To our knowledge, it has not been replaced previously.
okay.
Correct.
But I'm just saying, there was a section added when we raised
When they
the
raised it,
tank.
yeah.
Is that when it was, okay?
It is, from what Mike has said, I know Mike has worked with Dave Martin looking at that, and it's kind of pretty peculiar when you're sticking a camera, push camera down in it and looking at it, and I think there were some pinholes I think you guys were talking about, and it's very difficult to tell. I do know that they discussed there was a corrugated section, it almost looked like a piece that was used to combine both pipes together. But it was, they couldn't really say, yes, this is where it's at.
Okay.
So would it make sense if we raised, and I'm just gonna, I don't remember what the tank got raised, when it got raised. If it got raised 10 feet, wouldn't they have started from the bottom and added 10 feet of pipe to the bottom? And so it's most likely older pipe up top?
No, they cut it at the top, is what I remember, and raised it.
Raised it.
Took it over
They
the
added
side
to
and
the
then
neck
added
of it.
the
Something to
pipe.
watch, wasn't it?
So it
I
would be the
watched
top
it.
section?
I did too.
Right,
Should
right.
be close to the top.
They basically
Gotcha.
cut the bowl off, raised it
And
up
went
with a
up, yeah.
crane and added
Yeah.
That's where they did it.
piece of neck to it. So-
Most of the work was done up high, as I remember.
That's pretty cool, one.
Yeah, I may have pictures somewhere.
And
And I
that's the
know-
reason we cambered it, was we was wanting to make sure before we spent this kind of money that
Yes.
it wasn't just a spot.
Right.
And from what we've seen so far, which we don't have it on a big screen yet, we've been looking at a 6x4
Right.
camera screen. It appears like it's both pipes is corroded.
And this piping is insulated on the outside, so it's very difficult to see what shape it is. And, you know, it's been there for a long time,
keep it.
but it's got insulated wrapping around it, so you can't physically look at it unless you tear down that wrapping. So that's why it was inspected from the inside, so. And B&N did not, that wasn't part of their inspection to get a camera and, you know, float it down those
Right.
pipes. So,
It's done.
Thank you, Carl.
All right.
Any
Thank you,
other
gentlemen.
questions?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Thanks.
So we have a motion and a second for Resolution 3435. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion, or Resolution 3435 has been approved. We have no ordinances to discuss tonight. Announcements. The next city council meeting will be Tuesday, February 8th. We will have a work session starting at 6:30, and then the city council meeting will actually start at 7 p.m. We do have a need for an executive session.
To discuss hiring, firing, and personnel of city employees.
Thank you.
You're
Wasn't
welcome.
on my cheat sheet.
That's okay.
Okay.
So we do
Okay.
need a motion and a second for you guys in order to go into executive session.
Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Second?
Okay, and we will do a roll call vote. Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Reclue?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Braun?
Yes.
All right, you can go to your executive.
I'm going to be